everyone. Welcome to today's edition of Search the Scriptures. We are on study number 18 in the book of Job, and we are going to cover chapter 38 and 39 today, and the first 5 verses of chapter number 40. So if you have a Bible, get it out and open it up to the book of Job, beginning with chapter 38 and the very first verse. We're going to try to answer 2 different sets of questions here, so keep these things in mind as we look at it together. Number 1, consider the examples of God's handiwork that are depicted in these chapters, and what relation had this to Job's condition and perplexity, and what response ought this to produce in us. And secondly, Job had pleaded for an interview with God in which his innocence could be established. God proves his littleness. Why do you think Job is answered like this, and what does Job confess in his reply? So God is going to begin to speak here in Job chapter number 38 and chapter number 39. It's very interesting what he has to say. So open up your Bible to these chapters and let's look at them together.
Job 38. Then the Lord answered Job out of the storm. He said, "Who is this that darkens my counsel with words without knowledge? Brace yourself like a man. I will question you, and you shall answer me. Where were you when I laid the earth's foundation? Tell me if you understand. Who marked off its dimensions? Surely you know. Who stretched a measuring line across it? On what were its footings set? Or who laid its cornerstone, while the morning stars sang together, and all the angels shouted for joy? Who shut up the sea behind doors when it burst forth from the womb? When I made the clouds its garment and wrapped it in thick darkness, when I fixed limits for it and set its doors and bars in place, when I said, 'This far you may come, and no farther. Here is where your proud waves halt.' Have you ever given orders to the morning, or shown the dawn its place, that it might take the earth by the edges and shake the wicked out of it? The earth takes shape like clay under a seal. Its features stand out like those of a garment. The wicked are denied their light, and their upraised arm is broken. Have you journeyed to the springs of the sea, or walked in the recesses of the deep? Have the gates of death been shown to you? Have you seen the gates of the shadow of death? Have you comprehended the vast expanses of the earth? Tell me, if you know all this. What is the way to the abode of light? And where does darkness reside? Can you take them to their places? Do you know the paths to their dwellings? Surely you know, for you were already born. You have lived so many years. Have you entered the storehouses of the snow, or seen the storehouses of the hail, which I reserve for times of trouble, for days of war and battle? What is the way to the place where the lightning is dispersed, or the place where the east winds are scattered over the earth? Who cuts a channel for the torrents of rain, and a path for the thunderstorm, to water a land where no man lives, a desert with no one in it, to satisfy a desolate wasteland, and make it sprout with grass? Does the rain have a father? Who fathers the drops of dew? From whose womb comes the ice? Who gives birth to the frost from the heavens? When the waters become hard as stone, when the surface of the deep is frozen, can you bind the beautiful Pleiades? Can you loose the cords of Orion? Can you bring forth the constellations in their seasons, or lead out the bear with its cubs? Do you know the laws of the heavens? Can you set up God's dominion over the earth? Can you raise your voice to the clouds and cover yourself with the flood of water? Do you send the lightning bolts on their way? Do they report to you, 'Here we are'? Who endowed the heart with wisdom, or gave understanding to the mind? Who has the wisdom to count the clouds? Who can tip over the water jars of the heavens when the dust becomes hard, and the clods of earth stick together? Do you hunt the prey for the lioness, and satisfy the hunger of the lions, when they crouch in their dens, or lie in wait in a thicket? Who provides food for the raven, when its young cry out to God and wander about for lack of food? Job 39. Do you know when the mountain goats give birth? Do you watch when the doe bears her fawn? Do you count the months till they bear? Do you know the time they give birth? They crouch down and bring forth their young. Their labor pains are ended. Their young thrive and grow strong in the wilds. They leave and do not return. Who let the wild donkey go free? Who untied his ropes? I gave him the wasteland as his home, the salt flats as his habitat. He laughs at the commotion in the town. He does not hear a driver's shout. He ranges the hills for his pasture and searches for any green thing. Will the wild ox consent to serve you? Will he stay by your manger at night? Can you hold him to the furrow with a harness? Will he till the valleys behind you? Will you rely on him for his great strength? Will you leave your heavy work to him? Can you trust him to bring in your grain and gather it to your threshing floor? The wings of the ostrich flap joyfully, but they cannot compare with the pinions and feathers of the stork. She lays her eggs on the ground and lets them warm in the sand, unmindful that a foot may crush them, that some wild animal may trample them. She treats her young harshly as if they were not hers. She cares not that her labor was in vain. For God did not endow her with wisdom, or give her a share of good sense. Yet when she spreads her feathers to run, she laughs at horse and rider. Do you give the horse his strength, or clothe his neck with a flowing mane? Do you make him leap like a locust, striking terror with his proud snorting? He paws fiercely, rejoicing in his strength, and charges into the fray. He laughs at fear, afraid of nothing. He does not shy away from the sword. The quiver rattles against his side, along with the flashing spear and lance. In frenzied excitement, he eats up the ground. He cannot stand still when the trumpet sounds. At the blast of the trumpet he snorts, "Aha!" He catches the scent of battle from afar, the shout of commanders and the battle cry. Does the hawk take flight by your wisdom and spread his wings toward the south? Does the eagle soar at your command and build his nest on high? He dwells on a cliff and stays there at night. A rocky crag is his stronghold. From there he seeks out his food. His eyes detect it from afar. His young ones feast on blood, and where the slain are, there is he. Job 40. The Lord said to Job, Will the one who contends with the Almighty correct him? Let him who accuses God answer him. Then Job answered the Lord, I am unworthy. How can I reply to you? I put my hand over my mouth. I spoke once, but I had no answer. Twice, but I will say no more.
Wow, those are some of the two best chapters in the Bible when God speaks to Job. Now let's get to the questions. For the first one, consider the examples of God's handiwork depicted here, and what relation had this to Job's condition and perplexity, and what response ought this to produce in us. Well, the Lord's description of his power illustrates just how insignificant Job was when compared to all of creation, and how insignificant we are. The very fact that the Lord would take the time to communicate this to Job served to illustrate that as far removed as the Lord is from us in his power, he still has time to speak into our lives. What a remarkable display of his mercy and his grace. The fact that such an awesome God has time for us is truly something remarkable. Now to the second question. Job had pleaded for an interview with God in which his innocence could be established, and God proves his littleness. Why do you think Job is answered like this, and what does Job confess in his reply? Well, the Lord belittles Job, or puts Job really in his place to illustrate his care for even the most insignificant parts of his creation. It's no wonder that Job was left speechless and dared not open his mouth to question the Lord again. At this moment, Job is probably thankful just to have lived through this experience. Job was probably left saying to himself, I can't believe that I talked to the Lord the way that I did. I don't know about you, but I've had times in my life where I've talked to the Lord in ways that I regretted. The Lord invites us to do that. He invites us to wrestle with him and fight with him, as Jacob did. But God touches us in the midst of the battle, and we never walk the same again as Jacob did, and we never talk the same again as Job did. I hope God is speaking into your life in powerful and glorious ways today. May God richly bless the rest of your day.